guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name's Nastasia and I have face mask all over my sweatshirt. Although it looks like icing, I wish it was icing. Today I am sharing my testimony with you guys. This has been requested a lot and I just kind of wanted to be at a place where I feel totally comfortable and could kind of navigate exactly how to explain it and stuff like that. So that's what I'm talking about today. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it, I don't know, brings some light to you, or, you know, helps you through what you're going through. Maybe you can relate. I don't know. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, please give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss out on a video every time I post. And my Instagram is right here. I am on there all the time, posting lots of stories, daily devotionals, behind the scenes of my life, different stuff like that. So memes, so many memes. So feel free to check that out as well. So I'm gonna get right into it because I have a feeling this will be a little bit of a longer video and I wanna like not make it so extremely long for you guys. So it's kind of like my testimony slash my whole life in as small of a time frame as possible. So I grew up in Ohio, was born April 21st, 1996. I am 23. Grew up in Ohio in the exact same house in the same small town, and lived there until I graduated high school. And then I went to college. I went to Liberty University. I'm literally repping them right now, in Virginia. And then I moved here to Nashville in January of this year. It is July now. So that's the basic summary of the timeline. So let me get into the nitty-gritty. So I grew up always knowing who Jesus was. Mom especially made it very, very clear from as young as we could go, probably in the womb, that, you know, who Jesus was, who the Lord was, all that. I grew up with my mom and my dad and my brother. My brother is 12 years older than me. He is my only sibling. And so by the time I was like 6, he was going to college. So we have more of a relationship now, I feel like, than we did then. Not that that matters, but anyway. So that's kind of the family dynamic. And yeah, so I, just like a little bit of a backstory, I went to Christian, like, elementary school, kind of. I went to a Christian, like, private school until 2nd grade. And then I think it was a combination of a couple things why I moved schools, but I think one was probably the money. It was very expensive. And then 2 was I was being bullied a lot. I barely remember this, but I do remember coming home and crying a lot. And I think that was the first taste I ever had of how mean kids can be, especially Christian kids sometimes. It was really, really hard, and it was one of those schools that, like, the class, like the 2nd grade class, was like your classroom of like 15 people. That's it. So if you didn't have friends, you didn't have friends. So I moved to public school where I made a lot of friends and the people were a lot nicer. Unfortunately, that's how sometimes Christian schools can be. Really deal with bullying ever again. Going into kind of intermediate school and middle school, I was pretty happy. I had a lot of friends, it seemed. I played sports. I did lots of volleyball, and I did dance constantly. So I was a dancer from when I was like 3 or 4 years old until I graduated high school. So I was very passionate about that. Very passionate about art. Was painting and drawing all the time. Wanted to be an art teacher when I grew up, or a professional dancer. I was split between the two. And so I loved doing that. And in middle school, that is when I really started, I think, like, I hate saying this, but I can say it now because this is not me at all. I think I was actually pretty popular in middle school. I had a lot of friends. I had a big birthday party my 8th grade year and invited so many people. We were all in my backyard playing volleyball and jumping on the trampoline and all this stuff, and it was so fun. And that was like the high of my life, like, not my whole life, but back then, like, I was so happy. I was good at sports. I had good friends. I loved church. I had friends at church. I seemed popular. Everybody seemed to like me. I was getting good grades. It was so great. And then it was like either the day after my birthday party, or I think it was the day after my 8th grade year, the first day of summer or something like that. My mom came in my room and told me that her and my dad were splitting up. This was completely out of the blue from me. I had no idea. None. And I think it was because I was so caught up in myself, I didn't even look around me. I was a pretty selfish kid, and I'll explain why. But because of that, like, I went crazy, and the thing was, it wasn't because, this is so unfortunate, it wasn't because I was so caught up with, like, my parents don't love each other anymore. I knew they fought. I just thought, like, parents do that, I guess. I was more concerned with how it was going to affect me, because I was a brat, I guess. And that is when everything started falling apart around me. So it very clearly was the calm before the storm. My 8th grade year was my best year of school, and the happiest I felt that I was. And then my parents are getting divorced. And I realized very quickly everything was going to change. Very quickly. I had a pretty solid group of friends, though. I had a boyfriend at the time, if you can even call it that, in 8th grade. And things were pretty good. That summer there was some adjusting. I just hung out with my friends a lot and tried to kind of deal with navigating this new life. Going into high school, though, things got crazy. I mean, not crazy, but I started finding out a lot more about the divorce that I didn't know before. I'm not going to go into detail. A lot more about my father, particularly, that I didn't know before. And it was a lot for me to handle compared to the life I thought I had before. It all happened at once, that I found out all this stuff, and then my boyfriend at the time, like, dumped me. And then almost all of my friends that I had didn't want to be friends with me anymore, and I didn't know why. And the church that we had been at since I was 5 years old basically kicked my family out because my parents were getting a divorce. So it was a lot, and I was 13. Was I even 13? Yeah, I was 13. And that was the first time that I finally opened a Bible and decided to start reading it because I wanted to. Not just go to church and listen to the sermon, or like sit through the sermon, not even listen to it because I'm a Christian and that's what my parents do. Not just go to youth group to hang out with my friends. Not just have youth group at my house to be the cool host and the popular girl that everybody liked. To actually be alone, sitting at my desk in a classroom my freshman year of high school when I basically don't have friends. My family is falling apart. My church has kicked us out. And I'm utterly alone. And I opened up my Bible. And I started reading it. And I got hooked. Because it was like this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, these are real stories. Like, I knew it, but I didn't know it. Like, these are real stories that, like, can impact me. And that's basically as far as I got in that moment. But, like, I started reading it. I remember I read Esther in math class. It was, like, geometry or something. And then, like, once I had gotten done with my work and we had time at the end of class, I would just open my Bible and read it, not to be seen. Nobody saw me. Nobody saw me at all in high school. But to just read it for me. So that is when I say, for me personally, when people ask when I got saved, I say my freshman year of high school, because that is when I made the decision that, you know what, this life is gonna be freaking hard, and I might not ever be happy again in the terms of what I thought happiness was. And if it means that to follow Jesus, I'm gonna do it. That was the first time I had chosen that, when I was utterly alone, opened my Bible and started actually reading about our Savior. And started actually doing, like, Bible studies. And I remember specifically I had, like, 2 different, like, Bible study books that were, like, for young teens, like tween girls or whatever. And I started actually reading them at night, and they started lining up perfectly with where I was at in my life. And I was just sobbing because I was like, how can this be so accurate unless Jesus really is present and real in my life and I want to follow him? So, fast forward a little bit. High school did not get easier at all. Throughout my entire 4 years there, I had maybe 4 or 5 goodish friends that like I would consider my good friends. And it's not like 5 at one time all 4 years. It's like 5 split up. Like, I probably didn't have more than 1 or 2 good friends each year. So I hated high school. And I also hated that I felt like everybody thought I was a prude when I wasn't. Or felt like I was maybe just sad or intimidating, when it was just the fact that like I was dealing with hell at home. And to my mom's credit, she did everything she could to make it as smooth as possible. But it was messy, and I'm not going to get into it on here to protect the privacy of my family that doesn't want their life on the internet. But I learned a lot of things that I had no idea about. It was like day and night. And when I say day and night, I mean like I learned everything and it became night because there was so much darkness that was completely covered my entire life. And I was living in this fantasy world that I had no idea about. I grew up thinking we had so much money. Like, we were pretty much middle to high middle class until the divorce, and then everything hit the fan. Like, everything. So it was really junior and senior year that everything got bad. Senior year was really bad. Basically, some things happened in my life, with like my father being in my life, that I spiraled. I remember it was January of that year, 2014, that I got to a point where I said, I was standing on my little like balcony overlooking our like our stairway. We had like a balcony that kind of looked over the stairway. And I was standing there, and I remember specifically thinking, I don't want to die, but I don't want to be here anymore. And it wasn't like I was in a crying fest. It wasn't like I was being overly emotional. I was numb. And I thought, I would never hurt myself. But heaven would be way better than this. And that's when I realized, like, I never had thoughts of actually hurting myself. I never had thoughts of actually taking my own life. And I want to make that clear. Like, I never had the thought of doing something, but I had the thought of, I don't like this life anymore. And that's when I came to my mom, along with a series of other changes that had to happen that were huge and terrifying for our lives, and told her I need to go to our doctor and I need to talk to him about an antidepressant because I can't live like this. And it was our family doctor. He's amazing. I think he's retired now. But he always loved us and loved me. He had me like as a patient since I was born. And I was 17 at this time. And he just hugged me and he put me on an antidepressant, or like an anti-anxiety antidepressant thing, which I'm still on today. And I'm super proud to say that I'm not against medication at all, as long as it's what's right for you and your doctor goes over it with you and all that. And that was like one of the first times in my life that I felt like, oh my goodness, I can be something other than depressed. I didn't even know that I was, from when my parents got divorced and my father finally moved out, it was only then, when I was just living with my mom, that I realized I had been in a depressed state ever since I could possibly remember up to that point. I thought that's just how life felt. It wasn't until that darkness left our house that I felt something close to happiness. And I had no idea that that's what freedom felt like. I had no idea how much I was being kind of oppressed by the darkness in that way. And then that happened again when I was put on medication. And ever since then I have been on medication for anxiety and depression. That's when we really figured out that I had anxiety and depression. And it did stem from problems with my father in particular, but other things too, I guess. And I went to college. I was in a long distance relationship at the time, and like a long length relationship for about 3.5 years. Went to college. Things were still very hard. I tried to keep a relationship with my father enough because I felt like, I don't know, that he's my father. And then fast forward, I was engaged to the person I had dated for 3.5 years. And it was the summer. Well, it was right after the summer. I had moved back to college. I had found out a lot of things about my father that basically broke me. And I decided in that moment not to have a relationship with him any further. And since then, that was September of 2017, I think. Sorry if the camera's a little off from where it was a second ago. It died, so I had to charge it. But anyway, so where I'm at right now is, if you want to kind of know more of my season of singleness and where I'm at in that aspect of my life, it relates a lot to the stuff of my dad and my testimony. You can watch that last video. I'll link it in the end kind of card of this video. But also where I'm at right now is I feel like I'm at a healthy place in my life to really seek out counseling to kind of deal with some of those deep-rooted issues that have to do with stuff I kind of dealt with growing up, and I don't know, how it affected me in ways that maybe I don't even realize. So I am going to be starting counseling, and I'm saying that for you because I want you to know that counseling is healthy and normal and incredible. And if you at all feel like you could benefit from counseling, I think everybody could, personally, but go for it. Because there are lots of ways to get free counseling as well. My church in Lynchburg offered free counseling, and I did that for a while. Here I will be doing a paid option, but there are affordable options, there are stuff like that, and I want you to know that it is more than okay to get help and get counseling. Even if you think you're in a healthy place, that's great too, because then you can do some awesome work and have the energy to do it. And if you feel like you're breaking down, it is not weak to get help. It is not weak to seek counseling. And actually it's so brave, and it's so good. It has been vital for my healing, and I know it's going to be vital in this season of God healing my heart, which is what I'm zooming towards right now, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm very excited. So where I'm at right now, I'm in a good place. I live with my mom in Nashville. I graduated last May with a degree in politics, politics and policy. I'm working in adult ministry right now, doing YouTube as well. I love it so much. I have amazing friends here. God has been so incredibly good. It's insane. Even how my mom and I were able to afford to live here was straight up God. How I was able to afford college, completely God. It was all miraculous things. And guys, I know that I said how I got saved early on in the video, but I don't believe that's your only testimony. Your testimony is also how you learn with God through the hard things, because that's just the beginning of the race, buddy. like, great, you're set for eternity with Jesus, but now the devil is going ham to try to ruin your life. And it's awesome because you have Jesus fighting for you. But anyway, that is my whole story, guys. I know it's kind of vague in some ways, but I hope that gives you a general idea of who I am, kind of my background, how I came to know Jesus, and stuff like that. So maybe I'll get more detailed with my past and future videos, but for now this is what I feel comfortable with. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm excited. If you want to leave your testimony down below, that would be so cool, but if you don't want to, that's fine too. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.